You find yourself sitting alone in your room. You can't help the flutter of butterflies that keep you in a nervous excitement. Today was the day. The two of you have been leaving letters for one another for a little over a month now. If anyone else had known about it, you would probably be locked up right now. If not in a jail cell, then surely in a clinic for the insane. You just can't stay away from him, though. Your eyes scan over the letter once more to make sure you aren't imagining things. You can't believe how much warmth a person can show in just a few simple words. You pause a moment with a slightly flushed smile to stare at the signature at the end.
See you soon, Jeff.
You know that it should be something frightening, but it simply isn't. You knew he wouldn't hurt you. After all, had he really wanted to, he could have done so when you first met. It had been a little over a month ago now. You had gotten home later than expected, but it was fine. You're the only one home at the time anyway. You weren't a fan of camping trips, so you opted out. It wasn't that it was boring or anything. You'd just rather spend that weekend at home. You had made yourself dinner that night and then headed straight for bed. You were pretty tired from the day's activities, and sleep was the only thing on your mind. You contently undressed and pulled on something to sleep in before slipping under the covers. God, it felt so nice. So good, in fact, that you fell asleep almost the moment your head rested on the pillow. You'd been sleeping comfortably, too, until a small noise started to rouse you from that perfect rest. It took a few long moments to open your eyes, even as you grumpily sat up in bed. What the hell was that obnoxious tapping noise? As you groggily glanced around the room, you noticed that the blinds were gently swaying in the wind. Every time the gentle breeze moved them, they would fall against the wall with that tapping sound. You shrugged it off and settled back in. Suddenly, you remembered that you hadn't opened your window. You felt a cold chill run along your body, but couldn't find it in yourself to move. Slowly, as if on cue, you could see something move in the dark corner of your room. You watched under terror as the person stepped into the soft moonlight. His face was scarred terribly with a long slash that ran from both corners of his mouth. His eyes a dark glare as he watched you a moment. You also noticed that he was holding what looked to be a long kitchen knife. The sharp metal glinted in the pale light as he stepped closer to you. You wanted to scream as he brought that blade to your neck, just under your chin. The cool metal forced you to look up at him to avoid getting cut. Your heart was racing in a frantic, silent panic. Your gaze met his with a terrified expression as he seemed to be examining you. Both of you stayed like that for what felt like an eternity before he just dropped the blade from your neck. You watched him in utter confusion for a moment.
Go to sleep.
Was all he had said before he slipped right back out the window that he had entered through. Your fear and confusion kept you from falling asleep the rest of that night. It had been a few days before you received the first letter from him. It had been carefully propped up on your desk when you got home. You were afraid at first, but curiosity almost always won out with you. You opened it to find only one question written on the paper.
What's your name?
It had been confusing to say the least. You thought a moment before writing the answer on the back of the paper and placing it back in its envelope. You set the letter just outside your window for him to find. He hadn't hurt you, and honestly, you're a little afraid to not answer him. He might get mad and then you would really be up a creek. After that first letter, there were plenty of others. Slowly, you started to get to know him as he got to know you. You started to understand him better as you wrote one another. The letters also grew in their passion as time went on, each one filled with sweet compliments. You smiled to yourself at the sheer memory of it all. To think that it all led to this. He was finally going to come and see you tonight. You glanced at the clock hanging on the wall. He should be here any minute. You both had to plan a time to avoid anyone else being home. After all, it wasn't every day you got asked out on a date by a serial killer. You happily set the note aside at the sound of someone knocking softly on your window. You didn't get a chance to open it, though, as it slid open and he entered. You smile at him with a slight flush on your cheeks as he straightens his clothes a little.
Hi.
He said simply as he sits down next to you. The light pink deepens a little as you try to calm down the butterflies. Hi. You sound almost sheepish as you sit there. You aren't really sure what to say now. The letters were a much easier way for the two of you to talk. It honestly seemed a little awkward now that he was sitting here with you.
You really do look very pretty.
He compliments you after a moment. He smiles at you with a far too wide grin. You look down at your hands as they rest in your lap. Thank you. Was all you were able to manage in response. Your heart skips a beat as he carefully tucks your hair behind your ear. A light touch of fingers brushing over your skin, leaving you feeling warm. He gently tilts your chin up as the two of you sit there. His gaze meets yours with warmth that keeps stealing away words. Jeff smiles at you as he moves a little closer to you. You can't help but feel happy to have him do so. He really is handsome despite that scar he wears. He also isn't what people think of him either. He can be very warm and inviting if they only gave him a chance. Thank you. You still struggle for something more substantial to say. He smiles at you with a soft chuckle.
Cute.
He mutters as he moves in a little closer. Your face feels warm under the compliment as you realize how close he is to you. Your heart flutters as he leans in a little more. You had thought about what it would be like to kiss him. You had played over many different scenarios in hopes that you wouldn't be too awkward. Now that the chance is here, though, all you can do is let him lead. It feels almost electric as he lightly brushes his lips over yours. The warmth of his breath on your skin makes you feel nervous in the best of ways. That look in his eyes makes you feel dizzy as he pauses a moment.
Can I tell you a secret?
He asks almost timidly. Each whispered word causes you to shiver slightly as it warms your skin. All you're able to answer with is a slight flushed nod as you sit there. He presses in closer again, and you close your eyes as his lips press against your own. Your heart races as he pulls back slightly. The sensation lingers on your lips sweetly.
Killers don't fall in love.
He muses with a smile as a sudden pain strikes your side. You try to move away from it as terror starts to grip you. You only manage to fall off the bed you were sitting on as searing pain racks your body. You look down to see a long kitchen knife sticking out of your side. A dark crimson stain starts to color your clothes as you struggle to sit up. Jeff's smile seems warm as he gets up to move to you. He quickly tugs the knife out of your side as he crouches in front of you. This can't be happening. This isn't how it's supposed to be. You try to move out of his reach in a screaming panic, only to feel that searing pain tear through your chest this time. The sound of bones snapping under skin can be heard as the metal easily pushes into you. You look around wildly for help, but no one's there. You feel weak and dizzy as pain forces your vision in and out. The feeling of something warm on your skin makes you want to retch.
We just find new games.
He adds as he moves closer to you again. You try to get away, but you can't. There isn't any hope. This isn't how this was supposed to happen. You meet his amused gaze through tear-blurred vision. He presses in closer to you as the world around you slowly starts to fall into darkness. He steals one last soft kiss that makes you feel wrong in so many ways. You struggle to breathe as blood spills from your mouth as he pulls back.
Now, go to sleep.